Imagine a moment when life throws you a curveball. A sudden challenge, unexpected pressure, maybe even that moment of just crushing self-doubt. Do you feel overwhelmed, or do you sort of instinctively look for a path forward? We all face these moments, right? And what really sets us apart isn't avoiding them, but how we respond. Today, we're diving deep into this fascinating world of building mental toughness, facing life's challenges head-on with strength. Our mission really is to unlock that practical wisdom that lets you not just cope, but genuinely thrive, turning adversity into, well, your greatest teacher. Okay, let's unpack this then. When we talk about mental toughness, it's so easy to picture someone stoic, maybe unfeeling, almost unbreakable, the person who just toughs it out. But that feels like a pretty narrow view, doesn't it? What does mental toughness really mean? And I guess why is it so crucial in our incredibly fast-paced and often unpredictable lives?
That's a really key distinction to make right off the bat. Mental toughness definitely isn't about suppressing emotions or somehow being immune to stress. Actually, it's almost the opposite in some ways. Think of it more like a dynamic mental framework, a set of skills you can train. And it's built on several key components. First up is emotional control. And this isn't about not feeling things. It's the ability to regulate your emotions, your thoughts, your behaviors, like having an internal thermostat, It helps you stay calm under pressure, which leads to clear thinking, better decisions. It's about managing, not just stuffing down your feelings.
Okay, so managing the internal chaos, not pretending it isn't there. That makes sense. What else is part of this framework?
Exactly. Then you've got commitment. This is that deep dedication, the thing that fuels your persistence toward those long-term goals. It acts like an anchor, really. Keeps you steady through storms and setbacks. It's not just being stubborn, it's a conscious choice to stick with your purpose, even when it gets hard. And a huge piece, of course, is resilience, that fundamental ability to bounce back from setbacks, failures, disappointments. It means understanding deep down that these things are temporary. They're a natural part of growth. It lets you recover without totally losing your confidence or focus. Falling down is part of learning to walk, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I often think of confidence as something that comes after you've been mentally tough, but you're listing it as a core component. How does that fit in?
Absolutely, it's foundational. Confidence here, we're not talking arrogance at all. It's a realistic, positive view of your own abilities. It's a stable kind of trust in your capabilities, in your judgment, that doesn't just evaporate under pressure or when someone criticizes you. It's a quiet knowing. And then, really crucially, there's adaptability. This means being genuinely open to change, open to new ideas, being able to adjust your approach or your thinking when things don't go as planned. It ensures you stay determined even when the circumstances shift dramatically around you. And finally, maybe the most foundational piece of all is self-awareness. Just having a clear understanding of your own strengths, your weaknesses, your emotions, your typical thought patterns. This lets you navigate challenges with clarity, make decisions that actually align with your values. It's about knowing your internal landscape.
Wow, okay, so it's just a really intricate dance then between managing your inner world, staying committed, bouncing back, believing in yourself, and being flexible. It reminds me, doesn't some research sort of categorize these traits quite neatly?
It does, yeah. Building on these qualities, some research, especially coming out of sport and performance psychology, often groups them into what they call the 4 C's. So there's confidence, that realistic self-belief we talked about, control, specifically emotional control, and also the belief that you can actually influence outcomes, commitment, that dedication to your long-term goals, and viewing challenge itself as an opportunity for growth, not just a threat to avoid. This last C, challenge, is really important. It highlights how mentally tough people tend to see obstacles as, well, pathways for development, not just reasons to quit.
And this isn't just about, feeling good about yourself. There's real tangible evidence of its impact, like academic research. And here's where it gets really interesting. Angela Duckworth's work on grit. That term is often used pretty interchangeably with mental toughness. Her research shows grit is a powerful predictor of success, sometimes even more so than raw intelligence. We're talking about that sustained passion and perseverance for long-term goals. Think about it. Her work with West Point cadets showed the ones scoring highest on grit were significantly more likely to make it through that incredibly tough training, or Ivy League students with more grit getting higher GPAs, even if their SAT scores were lower. What's fascinating is that Duckworth's work really emphasizes that this grit, this passion and perseverance, it isn't just something you're born with, it's trainable. It implies mental toughness is built through consistent, deliberate effort.
Absolutely. And the real-world ripple effects of cultivating this kind of mental toughness are, well, they're profound. They go way beyond just doing well at work or school. You'll find you have increased motivation because you stay committed even when progress feels slow. You'll likely experience much better stress management. Instead of feeling completely overwhelmed, you approach problems with a calmer, more focused mind. And that naturally translates into improved decision-making, better discretion. You can weigh options more clearly, assess risks more accurately. Your choices become based more on logic than just, emotional knee-jerk reactions. Ultimately, it enhances performance in pretty much any endeavor, work, sports, personal projects. And it can even significantly strengthen your personal relationships through better communication, setting clearer boundaries, and just having a more stable emotional presence for people. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, building mental toughness isn't just about what you do. Fundamentally, it's about how you think and how you perceive the challenges you face. It's about shifting that internal narrative.
Moving away from feeling like a victim towards being a resilient agent in your own life. One of the most foundational principles here actually comes from Stoic philosophy, which is surprisingly relevant today. It's the idea of distinguishing between what you can and cannot control. This philosophy gives you a really practical framework. It helps you direct your energy only where it actually matters, towards your own thoughts, actions, reactions, rather than wasting it all fretting about external events or what other people do, things that are genuinely outside your influence.
That sounds so simple on the surface, but wow, it's incredibly powerful when you think about it. So much of our anxiety comes from exactly that, trying to control the uncontrollable. But in the heat of a challenging moment, how do you actually begin to make that distinction? It feels hard.
It definitely takes conscious practice. It's not automatic at first. But here's a simple exercise you can try. Each morning, maybe just take a minute to quickly jot down one thing that's within your direct control. For instance, if your career feels shaky, you can control updating your resume or learning a new skill. That's in your hands. And then write down one thing that's outside your control, like whether the entire industry recovers. That's not up to you. You'll find that just the act of identifying what is and isn't yours to manage immediately cuts through a layer of mental clutter and anxiety. It allows you to focus your precious energy solely on what you can actually change. And this ties right to the next point, reframing your failures as feedback. Instead of seeing setbacks as proofs that you're inadequate, you start to see them as these powerful, personalized opportunities to learn, grow, and get better.
Okay, so if that job interview didn't pan out, instead of the immediate thought being, I'm not good enough, it shifts to, okay, what can I learn from this process? But when it feels like a real punch to the gut, how do you actually start that reframing process? That takes effort, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a mental muscle you have to build over time. The trick is to interrupt that immediate self-judgment. So instead of letting that thought, I'm not good enough, take root and spiral, you pivot straight to a question. What specific information did I gain here? Was it my examples, my resume, my delivery? Ask specific questions. Similarly, if you get negative feedback from your boss, instead of immediately getting defensive, which is natural, try to pause. Review it to identify specific actionable concerns. Maybe it's time management, maybe communication style. Focus on those. This really transforms that emotional pain into useful data points. And this mindset is deeply connected to another Stoic idea, viewing obstacles as opportunities. Every challenge you face isn't just a barrier blocking your path. It's actually an avenue for practicing virtues, for strengthening your resolve, for ultimately growing stronger. So you consciously ask yourself, what can this teach me about myself? How can this situation help me become more resilient or more adaptable? And here's another technique. Sounds a bit counterintuitive, but it's incredibly powerful. Practice negative visualization. Now, this isn't about dwelling on negativity or being pessimistic. It's about intentionally imagining worst-case scenarios, but in a controlled, mindful way. The purpose is kind of twofold. One, it helps reduce anxiety about the future because you've sort of mentally rehearsed challenges. Maybe more importantly, it fosters this deep appreciation for what you have right now, in the present moment. If you periodically spend just a few minutes visualizing losing something you cherish, maybe a relationship, your health, your home, it makes you profoundly grateful for its presence in your life today. This mental prep can help you cope better when life inevitably throws you those unexpected turns, and it cultivates a deeper, more resilient kind of gratitude. And finally, related to all this, embrace discomfort. Just like muscles grow stronger with resistance, your mind gets tougher by occasionally, intentionally pushing beyond your comfort zone.
Right, so it's not about avoiding friction altogether, but consciously seeking out the right kind of friction. The kind that strengthens your resolve, helps you build up those mental calluses, so to speak.
Precisely. You choose one small discomfort to face each week. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be something as simple as taking a cold shower for just a minute, or maybe skipping your morning coffee for one day. or intentionally taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Small things. These small, intentional acts of embracing discomfort, they build this quiet confidence in your capacity to endure. They expand your psychological flexibility over time.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about these internal shifts, how you think, how you perceive things, very powerful. But what about the actual, muscle building? How do we translate these mindsets into tangible, repeatable actions in our daily lives? It feels like mental toughness isn't just some grand philosophy floating out there, but really a collection of practical habits we can weave into our routines, making us stronger one small step at a time.
That's absolutely right. It really boils down to consistency and intentionality. Small steps that compound over time into significant strength. We can maybe group these into a few key areas. First, let's talk about self-reflection and emotional management. It's so vital here to name and process your feelings. Don't try to just power through difficult emotions like fear, embarrassment, or anger. Be honest with yourself about what you're truly feeling. Maybe write these feelings down in a journal that's particularly powerful for gaining some distance and clarity. Or you could record a voice memo. Or just talk to a trusted friend who will listen without judgment. This active processing, rather than suppression, is what helps you understand and regulate them effectively. And connected directly to this is practicing mindfulness and presence. Mindfulness isn't just about sitting down to meditate, although that helps. It's about being intensely aware of what you're sensing and feeling in the moment, without automatically interpreting or judging it. Regular practice, even starting with just 5 minutes a day focusing on your breath. It really enhances focus, reduces stress, improves emotional regulation. Or you can integrate little mindful moments into your day, like truly focusing on all your senses during a short walk, or while you're eating a favorite food. This practice brings clarity when things feel chaotic and trains your brain to stay grounded.
Right. It's about consciously engaging with your inner world rather than just letting it push you around. Okay. What about growth then? Actively seeking out challenges.
Exactly. This falls squarely under growth and challenge seeking. You really need to embrace challenges and step out of your comfort zone regularly. Think of your mind like a muscle. It gets tougher by facing and overcoming new challenges. Now, this doesn't mean you have to do something terrifying. It could be starting a new hobby that requires learning new skills, maybe volunteering to lead a tricky project at work, or even practicing public speaking if that's something that makes you nervous. A good question to ask yourself regularly is, when was the last time I did something for the first time? This intentional exposure to manageable discomfort, especially when you navigate it successfully, builds tremendous confidence and resilience. Another powerful habit in this category, often overlooked, is practicing gratitude. It might sound simple, almost cliché, but expressing gratitude genuinely reshapes how you see the world. It shifts your focus from what's lacking to what you already possess. And it's not just about feeling good in the moment. Studies are showing gratitude can actually physically rewire neural pathways, making you more receptive to future positive experiences. It literally trains your brain to spot opportunities you might otherwise miss. Try this. Write down 3 specific things you are thankful for each day. And don't just list them, try to really feel the gratitude for each one.
That's a fantastic example of taking a concept we all know and really deepening its impact. Okay, what about the role of, say, physical well-being and getting support from others? How do those fit in?
Oh, they're absolute cornerstones. Let's put them under well-being and support systems. First, maintain a healthy routine and practice self-care. This isn't optional, it's foundational. Your physical health and your mental toughness are inextricably linked. A balanced routine that includes regular exercise, which we know releases those stress-combating endorphins, plus proper nutrition and getting adequate sleep.
Yeah.
It's not just nice to have. Good nutrition fuels your brain. Sleep allows for crucial cognitive and emotional repair. Don't neglect the basics. And critically, build a strong support network. You absolutely do not have to go it alone. In fact, trying to is often counterproductive. Surrounding yourself with supportive friends, family, mentors, colleagues, it's like having your own personal cheerleading squad and advisory board rolled into one. This means actively talking to people who understand. Identify friends or maybe professionals who face similar challenges. Ask them how they navigated things. Share your own experiences too. It can be incredibly encouraging and normalizing. Also, consider finding accountability partners, someone who shares similar goals. Maybe someone who can check in with you regularly. Be a confidant for both the struggles and the triumphs. And engage in community activities, whether it's local clubs, volunteering, even supportive online forums. This builds a sense of belonging, which provides crucial support and camaraderie. And remember this, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a clear indication of courageous self-care. It's also a beautiful opportunity for people who care about you to show up for you.
It's truly a sign of strength to know when you need to lean on others.
That makes perfect sense. We aren't islands. And okay, for those moments when you inevitably do start comparing yourself to others, maybe scrolling online, feeling like you're falling behind, how do you handle that comparison trap?
Yes, the comparison trap. That's when you absolutely must learn to avoid comparison or at least manage it fiercely. When your career or your life feels a bit off track, it's incredibly easy, especially with social media, to compare your behind-the-scenes struggles to someone else's curated highlight reel. Remember, people mostly share their wins. They tend to omit the struggles, the rejections, the messy parts. So if you find that comparison consistently makes you feel worse, you need to set strict limits. Maybe take a break from the specific platforms that trigger those feelings and actively replace that scrolling time with something that genuinely makes you feel better, more empowered, more focused on your own path. Instead of looking outwards, look inwards and celebrate your small wins. Recognizing your own progress, no matter how minor it seems, is incredibly motivating. It builds genuine earned confidence from the ground up. Make a habit of tracking your wins. Maybe just jot down what you accomplish each day. Could be finishing a task you've been putting off. Could be asking someone for advice and actually using it. Could simply be showing up for yourself on a really tough day. That counts. Over time, this builds significant momentum and reinforces a positive, realistic self-perception. And finally, related to all this, consciously develop a positive mindset and self-talk. Actively challenge those negative automatic thoughts. Replace them with optimistic yet still realistic affirmations or reframes. For example, replace "I can't do this" with "Okay, I'll try my best and learn from the process, whatever happens."
Right.
And also learn to handle criticism constructively. Develop a process for filtering feedback. Take what's genuinely useful for growth, learn from it, and try to let go of the rest of the unhelpful or overly harsh parts. Don't become defensive, but also don't let it completely undermine your confidence. It's about extracting the wisdom without absorbing the sting, if that makes sense.
It really does. So what we've uncovered here is that mental toughness isn't some rare magical trait you're either born with or not. It's truly a dynamic, learnable skill. It's built through these conscious mindset shifts like focusing your energy squarely on what you can control, reframing failures not as dead ends but as powerful feedback, and seeing every obstacle as, a tailor-made opportunity for growth. And then it's cemented, made real by consistent daily habits. Everything from naming your feelings and practicing that deep mindfulness to actively embracing challenges, building your support network, and celebrating every single win no matter how small it seems. This whole deep dive really shows us that consistency and intentionality applied day after day, those are truly your secret superpowers here.
Absolutely. And remember, you have within you more than any single challenge requires. You really do. So what if you stopped viewing life's inevitable challenges as just obstacles to somehow overcome or just endure? What if instead you consciously saw each one as an invitation for profound personal growth, for deeper self-discovery? Maybe we can invite you, the listener, to reflect on just one single habit or mindset shift that really resonated with you today, and maybe commit to experimenting with it, even in a very small way, starting this week. See what happens.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into building mental toughness. We really look forward to exploring more fascinating insights with you next time.